You ever look at your setup and say, man, I don't have enough RGB? I like that it's right here at my side. Holy shit, that was aggressive. Everyone knows RGB puts frames per second on your rig and inches on the peen. And when I say there is a ton of modes, there is a ton. I'm gonna cycle through them, but there is a ton. That one is super cool in my opinion. Now what we have in the box that I'm Captain Morganing on right now might actually fix this issue. And that's nice, boys. I like it. Or more realistically, what we actually have is something that'll contour your back and your crack while making you stand out or pop a little bit on stream. Let's get it. Well, I get a lot. Now with the magic of video editing, there's a few ways we can get this chair assembled. We can do the old-fashioned snap, crackle, and pop. Hey, big girl. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Yeah, that one gets them every time. But I think I'm gonna throw you guys into a dank-ass time-lapse with a fire, hot, sticky banger of a track. I don't know if any of that lingo does anything for you youngsters out there, but let's do it. Oh, finger guns. Better holster these bad boys. So record time on the assembly, but if you're not Super Saiyan and aren't able to build a chair in about 30 seconds flat, if you're not the chosen one like Neo, building this chair as a mere mortal, it's a little frustrating and time consuming because the instruction manual has very, very small pictures that aren't very descriptive and it has no actual text instructions. It is just pictures that, like I mentioned, are very small, and none of the hardware is labeled, which I have encountered building furniture in the past, and usually you are able to just look at the quantity of each screw and kind of put them together, but I don't know if they use the same instruction manual for multiple different models of chair. The quantities of screws were off too, so I kind of had to see which screw fit in what hole and whatnot. It wasn't too crazy or anything like that. I built it by myself, you know, fumbling around with it in probably about 45 minutes or so, which isn't too crazy. So as for the actual RGB functionality of this chair, I have the remote control in my hand here and we are going to whip through some modes. There is an absolute shit ton, excuse my language. So you can select a static color, red, green, blue, yellow, cayenne, or kind of a light teal, and then a pinkish purple, as well as white. You can also adjust the brightness as well as the speed of all of the different modes here. Here's a cycling mode, and again, like I said, you can adjust the speed, faster or slower. And when I say there is a ton of modes, there is a ton. I'm gonna cycle through them, but there is a ton. That one is super cool in my opinion. Sweet, I like that a lot. So many modes here, so no matter what your color theme is in your setup in your game room, I'm sure you can find a pattern to match. So as for the comfort, ergonomics, build quality, and then cosmetics or appearance of this chair, as those are the most important factors when selecting your gaming chair, comfortability is actually pretty good. If you are a larger guy or gal, this chair will not work for you as it does have very, very aggressive bolstering, which does look awesome. It has that awesome racing look, and I'm pretty average sized. I'm about 5'11", 175 pounds, pretty average North American male. And I'm able to fit in here pretty good, but there's not a whole lot of wiggle room in here. This actually feels a lot like the seats in my car, very bolstered. But if you're a younger stallion or stallionette, you'll have absolutely no issue with this bad boy. Also, I do like the armrests. They are not padded, but they are a soft rubberized material, and they do adjust up and down as well as telescope. Get that exact angle, and then also underneath there is screws that you can loosen and slide these inward or outward more. I have them all the way at their most outward position right now, which for me feels really natural when I'm just sitting here talking. A skinny, narrow person, you might want to move these in a little bit so you can rest, so your elbows rest a little bit more naturally for you. And then of course this does recline, and I do like this reclining mechanism better than a lot of other chairs. For example, the Respawn 110, for example, where you have to actually reach down and back like this to recline. And then also these style of armrests here, they are padded, which is nice and all. However, they do not rotate inward or outward, and they do not lift up or down, so you don't have that adjustment. Same thing on this Vaughn Racer over here, but it's much more exaggerated on this chair because it has really, really deep padding, which is great for butt comfort and whatnot, but you have to reach very, very far down. I don't know if you guys can see this. I have to reach all the way down like this. And if you try reaching through here, that's uncomfortable. So you have to reach over like that to recline. It's not really the most convenient reclining mechanism. It does make assembly easier because all of that adjustment, all those levers and whatnot are contained in the base as opposed to the chair that we just assembled. This does have a good amount of adjustment when it comes to height. At its highest here, my feet are completely off the ground here. So if you are a rather tall individual, this would be a very good chair for you for a couple reasons. One, it raises very high. Like right now, I'm 5'11", and my feet are probably about 2 inches off the ground completely. And then on top of that, it is a high back chair as well, to where this is pretty much at the top of my head here. We will put the lumbar pillow as well as the neck support on in just a minute and test that out. It does not have a leg rest, but it does recline fully, which is very, very nice. It feels very, very comfortable like this. It feels stable. I don't feel like I'm gonna tilt back or anything like that, so that is very, very nice. And again, I like that it's right here at my side. Holy shit, that was aggressive. Well, I get a lot. Also, I do have to say, cosmetically, this is a very, very good looking chair. I like this kind of quilted diamond pattern in here. I think that looks really good. Too gaudy or anything. I think it looks really good. And also, I generally hate emblems or logos, which gaming chairs always put on the head of the chair. However, I have to say, their logo is actually pretty cool, and I don't mind this one very much at all. Definitely has a very, very chemically smell. It smells like some inks or chemical dyes or something. It doesn't really have like a leather smell to it. This is probably some kind of an artificial leather or pleather, but it feels very nice and it feels very soft and supple. Looks good. Now this is different than almost any other lumbar pillow I've ever seen, as it does not have any kind of strap to ratchet it, which is interesting. It basically just sits in there like that. I'm not a huge fan of that design. I do prefer the ones that have the little elastic straps that you can lower and raise, because that way you can kind of slide it up or down and get it right there in the small of your back for some lumbar support. But we're going to give this a try right now. Yeah, like right now that's too low, so I'd have to manually pick it up. There we go. Wedge it into the small of my back. But with the neck pillow and the back lumbar pillow, this feels really, really good. Let's drop her back again. And that's nice, boys. I like it. So you do have to be wired via USB whenever you want to use the RGB lights, which is kind of to be expected. I have tested other chairs that have either massaging lumbar pillows or heating in the pads, or no lights yet. This is my first RGB light chair, but I have tested chairs that do have some kind of electronic feature, and they always have a cord that you need to be plugged in. And there are two reasons for this. One, it keeps the build cost down. They do not have to include some kind of a battery pack, which would add to the cost of the chair, thus increasing the price that we as the consumer pay. And two, you would be charging it constantly. However, it would be kind of nice to not have to deal with a cord. Now, it's not a huge deal if this was a little bit longer, as a lot of people are probably just going to plug this into the front of their tower. But if this is on the opposite side of where that would be convenient, you'd basically have to wrap it around this side. And at that point, it's just really, really short. Now, you can get a USB adapter. Now, you can get a USB extension cable that is basically female on this end and male on the other end, and then basically just extends this out. So I will have one of those linked in the description below if you do pick up this chair. This might be a little bit short for your needs. But when you're not using this cable, you can kind of just fold it up and tuck it back in this little sleeve back here, which is kind of nice. I guess you could store some other stuff back there, maybe your favorite comic book or those dirty magazines you don't want your mom to find. Overall, I gotta say I'm very satisfied with this chair. It's very comfortable, especially for having that aggressive look. Generally, you kind of have to find a fine balance between a cool, aggressive looking gaming chair and a comfortable one that's a little bit less bolstered and whatnot. I think this strikes a pretty fine balance. The only thing, like I mentioned, if you are a rather wide individual, the bolstering might be a little bit aggressive for you and you'd kind of be pinched in here. But I really do like the RGB. I think it is super awesome, especially if you are a streamer or a YouTuber that does a lot of screen recordings via webcam, as it does make you stand out, kind of pop, even if you just put it on a static color like your theme color for your setup. Build quality feels pretty doggone good as well. This is aluminum down here, obviously all metal base plate on the bottom, a little bit of plastic and rubber right here, but everything feels really solid. I don't foresee this chair disintegrating into dust underneath your butt cheeks or anything like that. So at a price point of about $180, $190 US, I do have to say this chair is a pretty darn good value. It's very comfortable. The build quality feels pretty solid. It's the only chair I've seen that has RGB. And cosmetically, I think it looks really good too with that diamond stitching. This bad boy will be linked in the description below if you want to check it out, get a little bit further details on this product. If you enjoyed the video, liking it helps it to get seen by more people, so this video will reach and assist them as well, which in turn helps me grow this little channel, which I do greatly, greatly appreciate. Subscribe for more content like this. I cover a ton of news in the gaming community and industry, as well as tutorials helping you get set up streaming and YouTubing. Hey, big girl. And we'll see you guys in the next video. You gonna do a sign off? Peace.